Time once again for All-Star Wrestling. This is Fred Everett with you for the following hour, and what a show we have lined up for you today. You're not going to believe the wrestlers that are here today. Claude Patterson in the first match against Bob Brown. And Bob will have plenty to talk about later, and we have a report, of course, on his match this past week with Jerry Miller. In the second match of the day, Bob Geigel will be going against Johnny Ramirez. And you remember what happened last week when Ramirez got tangled up with the wrong fella, Sonny Myers. There was a little blood spilled here in our studio ring. We're going to see if that it can be avoided today, of course. And in our final fall today, it'll be the Stomper matched against Frank Hickey. Now, you can see the wrestlers coming into the ring. Claude Patterson has just entered the ring on my left, or on my right, on the left of your television screen. And now you see his opponent. There is Bob Brown. Referee Richard Moody from Abilene, Texas, checking out the wrestlers, making certain no man is carrying any hidden equipment. Brown on the right, 240. Patterson on the left, 255. Your referee Richard Moody, and this match is underway. Well, this is certainly unexpected, and I'm sure that the referee will have some words to say to the commission about that later. That was Bob Geigel. You saw the back of his back and the back of his head there, and he was coming up to the ring, it looked like, to give Brown some instructions. Well, whatever Geigel told him seems to have taken effect, as Brown has taken early control of this match. Patterson standing in the middle of the ring, stalking his man, as it were. And it's into the ropes quickly with Brown, and a vicious forearm blow to the chest sends Brown complaining to the referee. And Claude Patterson going after Brown with a determined vengeance and fury. And now it's Brown who's not quite sure of himself. A bit timid now and moving in toward Claude Patterson. That standing wrist lock is proving very painful to Patterson, as you can see there in that picture. Referee circling the wrestlers, making certain of the legality of the hold at all times. Brown with his back to you. Patterson in pain from that standing wrist lock. And this past week in Kansas City, Kansas, in a disputed decision, Bob Brown emerged the victor over Jerry Miller, but only for moments, because the referee found out later from the fans close to ringside and from the wrestling commissioner what had happened in the ring, and it seems that Miller's foot was outside the ropes. Brown had pulled it back in long enough to get a 3 count on his man. So between those two fellas, there still has been no decision. And here you see Claude Patterson, aroused and enraged, dropping Brown to the canvas, and Bob Brown flat on his back on the mat for the first time in a good while, as he's found much more than he bargained for against Claude Patterson. So there's still been no decision between Bob Brown and Jerry Miller, and I understand the fans are still hollering for a match between these two fellows. And of course the promoters are always receptive to the demands of the fans. And yes, I see from my rundown of what's going to be happening in the area this next week that Miller and Brown will again go at it with certain conditions. We'll tell you about them after a while. And your All-Star Wrestling today providing plenty of action as Bob Brown and just as soon as we get ready to describe what Brown's doing, he pulls something different. I don't know what good that's going to do him. Go over and stick his head outside of the ropes, because Patterson's after him. But this Brown is a very shifty and tricky fellow. And we've seen him before pull this chicken routine and then turn around 20 seconds later when he's caught his man off guard with some kind of a vicious counterattack. Some of the fans over on the far side of the ring getting a little too excited. Pounding on the mat, trying to get the referee's attention. They feel that Brown is not treating Patterson fairly. And a little bit of teeth there. Patterson's elbow taking on a few teeth marks there. Brown trying to get his back to the referee so he can try it again. Foot behind the knee drops Patterson to the mat with a thump. Patterson outweighs Brown by some 15 pounds. But it's Patterson on the mat. And Bob Brown out to show this bigger fellow that he has a lot of wrestling savvy and experience on his side, as Jerry Miller has found out in the past few weeks. This thing between Brown and Miller has developed into major proportions. These fellas can't even stand to talk about one another, much less face one another in the ring. We'd like very much to be able to arrange a match between Brown and Miller for you here on television. If this thing keeps up, we may have it yet. Patterson wrenching his way to his feet. And now this studio is really rocking. The wrestling fans are hollering for retaliation from Patterson, and he's giving it to him. And now it's Brown in trouble in the corner. Brown in trouble. Back to his feet. Whoop. Going to recuperate a little more here. Getting his head outside the ring. From first one corner and then the other. As Moody counts him back into the ring. And then the other corner. As Brown bicycles his way away from his opponent. Gentleman behind me getting a little too... And that's what Patterson is right now. Action right above us. At our ringside microphone on All-Star Wrestling. The referee counting Brown away. And Patterson is in the ropes. The hold has to be broken. Referee holding Brown away. Knee to the chest. Now what? And Patterson weakening fast from those vicious slaps and forearm blows of Bob Brown. Taking a tremendous amount of punishment, and now a slam to the canvas. He took that. It looked like on the small of his back. Holy smoke. I thought he was going to miss him, but he clipped him with his knee on the chin of Patterson. Ouch. Both of them slamming to the canvas. Brown used that tactic last week in one of his other matches. And we are seeing action today. It's over. You can see our wrestling's ring right now is empty, but it's going to be filled with action very shortly, because in our second contest of the day, we see Bob Geigel stepping into the ring on your left now, along with the referee. And coming in on the other side, Johnny Ramirez, who ran into a bit of trouble last week in his television match with Sonny Myers, and he's taking on Bob Geigel today. Feels that he'll be able to do much better. Ramirez is another former boxer. He's had plenty of ring experience and has now turned to wrestling as being more worthy of his abilities. And he carries a lot of beef, as you can see right there. The match is underway. It's a one fall or 15-minute time limit contest. One thing we forgot to tell. Some of the wrestling fans becoming increasingly upset by the obvious condition of Johnny Ramirez right now. Want to prevent any further injuries. And of course, Ramirez is working himself with those forearm blows to prevent any further damage. And you can see the referee's attitude. Sir, you'll have to hold it. Quiet down just a minute, please. You can see the referee's attitude on it. he doesn't like what's happening in the ring. And feeling that things have been a bit biased in favor of Bob Geigel, he's giving Johnny Ramirez the benefit of the doubt on the rules. He didn't even make an attempt to get over there in that corner and break them in when Ramirez had Geigel against the ropes. And legally, he would have had to break that hold. Ramirez really in trouble. Geigel drops him, almost just rolls him over onto his back. Ouch. Knee to the chest, and here he comes off the ropes. Oh, his man moved out of the way that time, threw his timing off a little. And Geigel used that knee again as if to say, stay there till I come back. And here he goes off the ropes. Wow, and he landed that time, and Johnny Ramirez flapping, powerless to avoid the 3 count, and this match is over. Geigel won't leave his man alone. The time on the match was 10 minutes, 9 minutes and 48 seconds. John Baker, our timekeeper. Here we go again. Your All-Star Wrestling ring is empty. Oh, but here comes Bob Brown. I knew he'd have something to say. Bob, the fans have been clamoring for another bout between you and Jerry Miller after what happened last Thursday night.
Well, I beat him fair and square. Listen.
Your hand was raised in
That's
victory.
right. It went to 15-minute time limit. It was a draw. He asked for 10 extra minutes. I didn't want no part of it. But I beat him in the extra 10 minutes. My hand was raised.
It's true. His hand was raised in victory.
Fine. Then that goofy-looking Moody came back and said no decision will be made. It's under the hands of the Athletic Commission.
Why was this decision made, Bob?
I
heard one story on it that Miller's foot was outside the rope. Some of the fans giving Bob Brown a hard time here.
His foot was over the rope, but it was out when Moody counted 1, 2, 3. His foot was inside.
Oh, the objection from the fans was they said that you had pulled his foot back inside long enough for the count of 3.
I never did.
Not true.
I won that match, but I'll tell you something else.
All right.
I hear I got another match with him.
That's right.
Okay. And what is there about? Is there...
Well, we've got some conditions imposed this time. Now, I don't know whether it was the wrestling commissioner who saw some fists flying there in the ring this past time or not. But the way I understand it, if anybody uses the fist in the match this coming week, it'll be a $200 forfeit. And you and Jerry Miller are going to each have to post a $200 bond, which will be forfeited in the case of a fist.
That's a cinch then, because I don't use no fist, he does. So I automatically win the $200.
Well, the $200 will be forfeited. The first man who uses the fist. That's the way they've set it up.
Yeah, I've heard of these matches before. I've been in a few. But to me, I'm going to win now because Miller never obeys the rules. Moody don't say nothing to him. He always comes to me. Well, he'll throw the first fist. The guy's a little crazy. He's never learned any better. But I'll guarantee you this much. When I get him next Thursday night, there will be no rematch because I'll finish him right here.
There you have it from Bob Brown. The fans, of course, taking exception to it and